Good morning, gang. Happy Tuesday. So, thank you for finding me over here because as of right now, still haven't heard anything from the powers that be over in Silicon Valley on whether they've actually reviewed the non existent violation. I don't know, however you want to put it. Okay. So, we will talk over here. And what I wanted to kind of go into here a little bit, it's we all know what emojis are, okay? I mean, you get little smiley faces or whatever. My favorite one is the little devil with horns. But there's one out there that you guys probably have seen. It's dollar bills with little wings attached to them. Signify your money's flying away. And that's something we got to worry about. Now, myself, Alaska Prepper Now, Angry Prepper, we've all talked about buying precious metals and stuff like that. Some do, some don't, some agree, some rather go for crypto, whatever. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. You guys know where I stand on that one. Okay. What I want you to think about is the actual dollars in your pocket, okay? Because yeah, fiat currency, but it's still what we're using, okay? And it's still how you pay the rent, pay the mortgage, pay the car payment, pay the electric bill, whatever it would be, okay? And obviously, part of prepping is to make sure that a fool and his money aren't soon parted, okay? Now, for many, 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 many years, there's always been the small but somewhat vocal group of people that are made in USA supporters, okay, or made in Australia or whatever country. But I'm going to, again, stick to the USA here because it's where I live. And we all know that ever since the Nixon administration back in the early 70s, that China back then was a third world, to use Donald Trump's term, shithole country. And now it's the second largest economy in the world. Pretty good turnaround for 50 years, I'd say that. Okay. But how they did it was by taking the manufacturing from most of the countries in the world and doing it themselves. All right. And just like the United States, we grew as a country, starting as a manufacturing economy, and we peaked. And then China did the same thing. Okay. They're now at a peak. And this is where it becomes a problem for their economy, which, like I said yesterday, becomes a problem for your wallet. Now, China obviously is the biggest importer to the United States. We import about $125 billion worth of Chinese goods, or did last year. Okay. That's more than we get from anybody else, okay? We get over 20% of our imports from China. We get more from China than we do from Mexico or Canada, okay? But of course, we had to have NAFTA, and then we had to have the USMCA or whatever. Yeah, that's what it was called. But China was still our biggest trade partner. I won't say partner is not a good word because partner means equal. And it certainly isn't there. But so this is where we get into a problem. All right. China's economy is built on manufacturing being number one, the number one thing for their GDP. Number two is their industrial equipment, their mining of coal, of gold, of iron ore, of whatever would be. Okay. Number three is their real estate. So now let's look at the three biggest things in the Chinese economy. Manufacturing. Oops, we got a big problem with that. There's plastic shortages, there's shipping problems, there's all sorts of crazy crap going on that manufacturers, if they can make the product, can't sell the product. Problem for your economy. Number two, industrial. Well, let's see. We also have a steel shortage. Gee, but they mine iron ore, right? We have an aluminum shortage. China has a coal shortage. Okay, so that's going to whack their GDP. Number three, real estate. Okay, you guys know about Evergrande. I talked about that. Okay, I told you about Fantasia, which was the other one that defaulted. Now, yesterday, you had Modern Land, who's another large real estate developer in China, asking to push their bond payments back. I mean, well, Evergrande has now defaulted 3 weeks in a row. Fantasia's defaulted. You know, and there's a lot of U.S. money that is invested in China. Some $120 billion or something like that of U.S. dollars. Okay, and I mean, most of it is mutual funds or whatever, which could be your 401k. Okay, not a whole lot of us have China funds in our 401k, but if you've got exposure to international funds, if you go look at what the top holdings are in your international funds, I will bet you probably eight of the 10 top holdings are Chinese. Okay, so you could see a crash in those funds. If you've got international funds in your 401k, I would not advise having any international exposure in your 401k at this point at all. Okay, as best you can get out of it. You want to stay in the market, at least stay domestically. My opinion, not giving anybody financial advice. Disclaimer right there. Okay. But where it gets it, this is what's going on with the majority of the Chinese GDP gonna get whacked. This is the problem they run into. Citibank analysts, okay, Wall Street analysts here, are now calling for 30% inflation in China. Now, that doesn't define hyperinflation, but like I said yesterday when I was saying about U.S. coal companies sending stuff, they're going to go for the highest bidder. Do you think that when China gets things going again, that they are going to, we'll just eat the costs? No, the Chinese people are going to suffer, and all their foreign trade partners are going to suffer. So all that cheap stuff that you get at Walmart is going to get more expensive. This is why I was saying yesterday, buy your clothes, buy your shoes, buy anything you can that you think you're going to need. Pots and pans, towels, blankets, whatever it is, because the price of that stuff is going to go up. If you've got 30% inflation in China, you can expect at least 30% price increases real quick. Now, how can China go about and stop this? Oh, there's a little problem with that, okay? If they raise interest rates, that completely crushes their economy, okay? If they cut interest rates, then you have a big problem with the real estate companies, okay? Either way, China has hit the same area that the U.S. hit in the 1970s. We had 55 years of a manufacturing economy that hit a pinnacle. China's had about 50 years worth of an economy, of manufacturing economy, that's hit a pinnacle. Y'all remember what happened in the 1970s in inflation. A lot of you do, okay? Not everybody. We had massive inflation. China is on the exact same path, and there is no way for them to stop it. What will inevitably happen is you're going to have other countries, whether it's Vietnam or India or any of these countries that you see the made on tag on your shirt all of a sudden is not China. Those are the countries that will have the cheaper labor, and the Chinese economy will wind up tanking. Now, if, like a lot of people, the United States individuals and the government and corporations are heavily invested in China. Think about the investments that Apple, for example, has in China. A lot, okay? So if you own Apple in your 401k, you have heavy exposure to China. If the economy tanks in China, so does Apple stock, so does your 401k, so does your retirement, so does any of your wealth. This is, we need, again, I talk about all the time, to look at the bigger picture. This is what's going on. You need to get anything now that typically is built in China, Okay, I mean, a lot of plastics, if you need anything that's plastic, guaranteed it's made in China. Buy it now. Okay, some things, if you want to buy Lodge cast iron or whatever, okay, that's made in Tennessee. It's not a big deal, but still, steel, most of the steel comes from China. These are the things to look at when you're starting to look at what you want to buy, or what you want to buy for Christmas presents, or what you need to get around the house. Start trying to figure out, where does this stuff come from? I mean, I remember 20 years ago looking for a paper shredder. I could not find one that was made in the U.S. Every single one of them was made in China. Okay, that's a problem. But I wanted to kind of walk you through this a little bit on what's going on with the Chinese economy, because if an economy tanks, think of 1930s Germany. Again, economy tanks. What's China threatening to do with Taiwan? What's all that talk about? Usually the one way countries try to get out of a terrible economy is war. Now, is that written in stone, guaranteed to happen? No. But if I had to put my money on something, if I was sitting at a Vegas betting window and said, what do you see happening? I'm looking at the Chinese economy, and I'm going, the economy's in shambles. Okay? How do they get out? They're going to go to war somewhere. Watch your money, guys. Get what you need that's potentially made in China before the price goes through the roof, and just be prepared for what's going on. Have a good Tuesday. Pinball out.